Hello and welcome to QuoteRUSH. Today we're going to be discussing how to get an auto quote without having to enter any home information. So as you can see, I've actually started with a preloaded lead. If this is something that's new to you, you may want to start from scratch by going to File, New Client, or alternatively, if you've already got your lead in the system, you would just want to go to Overview and load your lead over here. And you can refer back to the basic training if you need more guidance on that. In the meantime, let's go back over to our client, and as you can see here, I've got a completely filled out lead. I do want to make sure that I add both the applicant as well as the co-applicant if they are available. This will save you some time when you go manually add drivers. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to go through if you're familiar with the Client tab. It's just contact information, mailing address, co-applicant information. If for whatever reason you do need to swap the primary with the secondary, there's a button right here that says Swap Applicants, and that will swap them in order. Other than that, when I'm completed filling my lead, I can go up to Save Update and save my progress. Now, the purpose of today's call is to be able to get to the point of a completed auto quote without involving any home information, and so we're going to forego filling out the Home, RCE, Underwriting, Predictor, and Run Quotes tabs. These are unnecessary if all I'm quoting is auto. Instead, I will move directly from the Client tab over to Driver and Auto. And as you can see, when I open up the Driver and Auto section, there are some subsections over here that contain the different pieces of information that we'll need to obtain a quote. The first tab that I see is prior policy information as well as new policy information. And I do want to point out that we have an Apply Defaults button right over here on the right hand side. This is a really handy feature. It'll save you a little bit of data entry within our program. So if you want to set these up, you can go on over to Settings, Set Defaults for Auto. Now that we've covered the policy information section, let's move on over to the driver information. As you can see, this one has come preloaded with 2 drivers. You can always add more drivers using the Add Driver button. Make sure that you fill out as much information as you can. Also, don't forget we have that Apply Defaults button here, as well as Add Violations and Claims, so make sure that you've given us as much information as you can prior to clicking Save. Also want to point out there's a delete button over here in case something was added by mistake. You may be wondering about this button that says Driver and Auto Lookup, so I do want to take a moment to go over this. This is a feature that is capable of pulling the driver's license numbers and VIN numbers at any given address. And when I say any given address, I mean it could be contained in the mailing address field or in the property address field. When you select one and submit, you'll get some feedback from the service that gives you all the VINs and driver's license numbers along with some metadata that is associated. If this is something you're interested in, give it a click and it'll give you an example. Now that we've covered the driver information section, I do want to cover vehicles. And if you've used the driver and auto lookup feature, this will already come preloaded with information. Keep in mind, you can start from scratch using the Add Vehicle button. The very first question in our system is, do I have a VIN number? You may or may not. So if you don't have a VIN number, you can say I don't have it, and it's going to ask you to fill out the year, the make, the model, and the body style. At this point, it's already filled a little bit of data for me, as well as a stub VIN. This is called a stub VIN because it is not a full VIN number. As you can see at the very end, it contains a bunch of ones. This will allow you to run the quote, however, it will not allow you to transfer to the application. I do want to point out there's an Apply Defaults button right over here. So give that a click if you do want to have us fill out some additional information without you having to interact with these fields. And once you're done, you can just click Save. If anything was added by accident, I can always go to Edit, and there's a Delete button right here. Now that we've covered how to add all the information for our policy, let's go on over to the Run Auto Quotes tab. Notice this is a separate section from the Run Quotes tab for homeowners, and that is because you will have a different list of carriers. So, since we're in the Run Auto Quotes section, I can choose a carrier off of my list. Notice it will give messages based on any issues or questions about the policy in regard to the carrier that I've chosen, and I may need to go back and correct those items in order for it to be added to the list. Once my selected sites list is populated, I have an option of either running the quote on my computer using the Execute button, or clicking Send to Bot. When I click Send to Bot, I'll be given the options of running a home, auto, or home and auto. In our case today, we would just select auto. It will give us an acknowledgement and then pop up any messages that the carriers might have for us. Once that's done, we have the option of reviewing our quotes. Right here where it says View Quote, and this is going to open us up to the web-based version of our program. And right here, we can actually review the status of the quotes that we've sent. Up top, we have a couple of graphs, one that's going to show you the number of errors coming out of your bot. The other one is going to show you how much volume you've been sending to the bot versus the capacity of that bot. So keep a close eye on these two graphs. Otherwise, if you're looking for the status of your quote, just click the green plus symbol. You'll notice this gives you timestamps for when it was submitted, started, and completed, alongside the status and your premium. So when your status shows as quoted, that means that your quote is ready to review. To review our quotes, we need to go back over to the overview page. So we'll double click our lead. Alternatively, you can choose the refresh button that is located right here just above where all of our quotes are listed. And since we're running auto quotes, we're going to look over here. Now, this is a test lead, so I'm going to go ahead and move our slide bar out to show me every quote that's ever been run. And as you can see, there's a fair number of quotes in here. Some have numbers, some have zeros, all of which have information contained in the description section. So please review the description for all of your quotes, regardless of whether there is a premium or not, because some of the ones that don't have premiums may still be able to be turned into quotes. Either way, when you're ready to review your quote, simply click the button on the left-hand side to be taken to the carrier, and make sure that you review your blue messages under the messages buttons right here. These will tell you anything that you need to address within the carrier. From here, you may want to print your quotes. Before you do so, did you change anything in the carrier, making these numbers different? If so, it would make sense to share that with the client, and you can do that by clicking the Edit button. As you can see, it'll give you the option of changing the premium or adding additional information to the description prior to being able to print your quote. When you're ready to print, it's as simple as clicking this button right here, or going to File, Print, and choosing Auto Quote Summary. Once you save, you will see your quote right here. For an even more advanced way of sharing your quotes, please contact our support team and have them fill you in on our new Client Dynamics proposal, which is available for home, auto, and flood. That being said, that's everything that we have for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to our support team. Otherwise, thanks and happy quoting!